We're talking about practice. Not a game, not a game, not a game. We're talking about practice.
Hey, good evening, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Talking Craps. And tonight we are talking about practice. Not talking about the game, it's the practice that we want to talk about tonight. It's how do you practice the game of craps? And tonight I'm joined by a couple of very special guests. I've got my friend Chili from O-Town and Arnel from Dice Grinders. Both of those guys are going to be weighing in on how do we practice the game. Welcome, guys.
Yeah, glad to be here. Thanks.
Yep, just doing a quick sound check. Make sure we can hear both you guys.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
There we go. All right, now we've got it. All right, so I think it's an excellent question. Is how do we practice the game of craps? Do you play or do you practice? And I think there is a difference. You know, a lot of us have our tables at home, and it's easy to play a game of craps. In fact, we have YouTube videos about it. We have the live fantasy craps where we really do. We play the game. But that's not necessarily how you get better. It helps, but if you think of this like a sport or like a musical concert or a musical instrument or something like that, you have to break things down. And that's a little bit of what we're going to talk about tonight is how do we break some of the things down. Got a couple of show notes here, learning some lessons from previous weeks to hopefully keep you on track a little bit better. And we'll see how it goes. We also want to welcome our audience. We've got Lynn Berg out there watching us tonight. Hey, good evening, Lynn. Appreciate you stopping by. And Lynn's one of my old buddies from the Tonkawa Hotel and Casino down there in Oklahoma. So I always like to call it out when Lynn stops out there. All right. So when you're talking about the game of craps and you want to talk about how you're going to practice, there's a couple of things you can do. There's betting strategies. And, you know, I'm guilty of that. In fact, most of the videos I have out there on YouTube are around betting strategies. You can find them all over the place. But there's another component. There's dice control or dice influence. And that's a little bit harder to do on video. In fact, when I first started my journey a few years ago, I bought a course from the Koga Ninja. I'm located in the Midwest. I can't get out to Vegas very often. I didn't know about heavy at the time. So I spent the money to buy a video. And I tell you, my greatest fear was that I would pick up bad habits because even back then, I knew that just watching a video wouldn't give me the feedback. Do I have it right? Am I doing it like they're showing in the video, or am I just getting close enough to it? And sure enough, I think I picked up some bad habits along the way that have been a little bit difficult to break. So I think I want to turn it back over here before we get too deep into it, bring us back over here to Chili and Arnel and say about when you decided that you wanted to get good at this game, what did you do? How did you, what steps did you take? Chili, why don't you kick it off for us?
Okay, yeah, sure thing. So when I decided that I wanted to take this, well, let me start off by saying this. I've been around the game of craps for several years. The casinos, I'm in Mississippi, and the casinos opened in Mississippi and up around my area, I think in the middle 90s. So I've been around the dice for a lot of years, but I never understood all the game. And I never actually heard of anything about dice influence and strategies. All I knew, I just thought you just had to be lucky. So it was at the beginning of this year that I really stumbled across a strategy and dice control, dice influence. So when I did stumble across that and got intrigued with it, the first thing that I started learning was the grips, the grip of the dice, and then the swing, that type of stuff. So I practiced a lot just picking up 2 dice with the 3-finger grip.
All right. Yeah. So, in fact, I'm going to flip over here. I think I've got some pictures of your table. Let me just bring that up real quick. Yeah. So this is a screenshot of your table, and this is fairly new, isn't it? You just recently built it, right?
Yes, this year the table that's in the layout that's in the background when I'm on the view here, this was a 6 foot by 3 foot layout, and I just purchased it over Amazon and put it on a piece of plywood. And that was my first actual shooting rig that I started practicing on. And I used this table here in the background for about the first 2 or 3 months, maybe. And then I decided, if I was going to get any better with this, that I needed to get closest as I could to the actual table with the rails and with the length and all. So that was the table that you were showing a few minutes ago with the rattan layout. That is a custom built, well, custom by myself. I built it on my own with just whatever dimensions that I could come across between the guys on the Craps Nation. They told me the dimensions of the height of the table layout, the dimensions of what the rails would be, and things like that. And I just went to start cutting some woods up, and I started building. And I had to get close as I could to the actual casino table.
Yep. So let's turn it over here to Arnel with Dice Grinders. I don't have a screenshot of your picture of your table, but I do have a small video that we'll get to in a few minutes. And I'm gonna praise you for your table, buddy. You did a fantastic job on creating yours. But let's go back to the beginning when you decided to start wanting to improve. I won't even use the word dice control or dice influence because a lot of people get agitated when you use those kind of words. But we all want to be better. So tell us about your journey and what prompted you to try to practice.
Well, my journey, basically, I've been playing for actually quite a while. First started going to casinos, playing poker, and then migrated to just blackjack. And then, while playing blackjack and hearing all the screams from the craps tables, that got me interested. So that was probably, over a good 15 years ago. And it was pretty simple. I started out, just walked up their table. Dealers helped me out, explained the game, and, fell in love with it from there. To try to get better, most of my play, I didn't have a table back then or anything like that. So most of my practice and things like that was actually at the casino, and basically practicing on the cheap tables. I started out, just chicken feeding, throwing the dice down there, but usually, throwing it the same way, even though I was still, just randomly rolling it down there, just tumbling the dice. Probably about, good 8 years ago, I started looking into it and, saw the old forums and stuff like that. And got interested. By then, I actually was in the early stages. I was actually tracking my rolls using that bone tracker. I don't really track as much like that anymore nowadays, mainly because to me it kind of like took the fun out of it. So I mainly just focus on just my throws, playing my game and strategy. Even you'll see like my strategies. I don't really veer off. I make the same bets. I'll basically have all the numbers covered. But mine's pretty simple. So, I'm a low roller. So most of the time when I'm betting, I'm usually just power pressing to get my bets up there. And then, when I feel comfortable, basically racking chips. But my strategy is pretty simple, have all the numbers covered. And
I thought it was funny that you mentioned that using Bone Tracker took some of the fun out of the game. And I that's something I've talked about quite a bit, that I do believe you can analyze the fun out of this game. You analyze it so much, you have expected or expectations, and when things don't go your way, it's just not fun. And there is, there is something to just being able to just get at the table, throw the dice, relax a little bit and have some fun. Hopefully, all of the training and the practice that you put in will translate into that. But
Right.
I've seen it before. I've seen people that just get so agitated. The 7 comes on their 4th roll, and it should come on their 8th roll, and that's why the casinos are still in business. There is a bit of randomness to this game. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. All right. So we've got our home built rigs, and I'm trying to watch the chat and see if anybody's putting any comments out there that might be how did they get started. Slambright, I know you're out there, and I'm going to be talking to you this coming Friday when we're in Colorado. I'll be doing an interview with Slambright and try to get his take on this.
Oh,
He
nice.
says, "Ack." Yeah. So look forward to seeing an interview from Slambright here in the next 2 weeks or so. Actually, I'm going to take this opportunity to say there will not be a show next Monday. I'll still be in Colorado or on my way home from Colorado, so we won't have a show. We will be skipping a week and pick it up when I return.
Oh, good
All
luck,
right.
you
So,
guys.
yeah, thanks. I wish you were there, man. I wish you could have made the trip. So
Oh yeah, one of the days.
So there's a lot more that we can do for practice than just buying a felt off of Amazon or spending a few $100 to create our own tables. There's a concept that's been around, or a tool that's been around for some time, called a dice barrel. And Joe Banda, I don't know if Joe's out there watching us tonight, but he put a video out there not too long ago on the topic. Now, for those of you who might not know, a dice barrel, let me flip this back over here. A dice barrel, all it is 2 dice glued together, super glued. And what you're wanting to do is spend a couple of throws, hopefully when you first start at the table, and you want to see the dice fly through the air nice and even, just rotating nice and even. You don't want to see a wobble to the left or the right. If you're seeing that wobble, that's telling you you've got something going wrong with your release or your grip, either one. But it tells you really quick that, okay, you have some adjustments to make before you're really ready to throw the dice. And so let's pick it back over here. Chili, Arnel, have you guys, either one of you, actually used a dice barrel before?
I've actually.
I don't have a dice barrel. Arnell's got
Go-
2.
Go ahead,
Nice.
Chili.
Yeah, I got a few of them.
No, I was just going to say, I don't have a dice barrel. I really probably should use that. It seems like a nice looking tool to help do exactly what you just explained. So I think I will use that going forward.
Yeah, and Arnel, you have 2?
I got quite a few of them, actually, just different colors. Usually I'll use, the dice that are already kind of like nicked up and things like that, that I don't really use for my practice throw. So I'll glue those together and use those.
Yeah, and that's what I do too. I took the some canceled dice from the Kansas Star Casino and used those. They don't need to be fresh, hard cut. You're not really looking for the bounce. You're not looking for results.
Right.
After it hits the table, you're wanting to see the in-air results, and that'll give you an indication of what your toss is doing. Taking a look at some of the comments, I just want to stop real quick. We mentioned that I'll be in Colorado this coming weekend. Altitude Gambler looks like he got his start with a dice barrel, maybe with a Let It Roll, and he's also going to be in Blackhawk this Sunday. Yeah, hopefully we'll be able to connect while we're there. Googs50 is telling us all good luck and appreciate it very much.
Nice.
Dice Jedi, awesome tip. He's grabbing dice and super gluing them right now. Okay, a word to the wise. The very first time I made one of these dice barrels, I used way too much
Too
glue.
much. Yeah.
Yeah,
Use one little drop.
yeah, just
Is,
the smallest dot that you can think of, and it actually added weight to my dice. They're heavier than they should be, be sure to just use a little bit when you're doing that. Let's see here. Glenn Thompson, he's saying he went to Dice College in Vegas back in the early 2000s. The sharpshooter, Dominic. Let's see here. What else he's got? Long Arm, Dice Coach. They were all in the class and learned a lot. Yeah, I got to tell you, I have taken that Golden Touch class course myself, and I loved it. But to be fair, I love all of them that I've taken. I've taken several classes from several of the different schools and had a great time with that. In fact, I hope to do a show on the dice classes here in sometime in the future. All right, let's talk about what do we got next? We've got the dice barrels. I want to talk a little bit about another tool called a dice gripper, and let's see if I can bring that up on the screen. Now, this little wooden block looking thing is a dice gripper, and basically what it does is it. I'm stuttering here because I'm having a hard time explaining it, but it allows you to pick up the dice in a controlled format. So your fingers are going to be straight along the back edge. This is great for those people who do the par shot. And it is also meant to help you feel what the dice should feel like when you're picking them up. Now, there are other tools. You don't have to use this dice gripper. Mine, it came as part of the instructions on from the Koga Ninja in the course that I built, but they are all over Craigslist and eBay. You can buy them pre-made if you want. And I'm actually going to flip around. I'm hoping that the volume is going to work okay, but I want to show you something else. A friend of mine, George from CY, has another way, and you don't have to have this wooden dice gripper. You can take a thin book, put a thin book out here, and take your dice, put them over there like that. I think we can see it. I hope we can see it. And then use that to pick them up. So it works every bit as good as one of these dice grippers out there. And another,
he actually has a video, I think, showing that.
Yeah. And then another possibility is you take, especially when you're in the casino, you don't have a book, you don't have a dice gripper, take 2 or 3 chips and then set them up here. Yeah, probably need 3. It's not perfect because the chips are round and they will split on you if the dice will split, but it's, let's put it in front. That gives you a good, it's just a good way to do it while you're there in the casino. So again, I'm going to turn it back over to Arnel and Chili. Have either of you guys ever used one of these dice grippers?
I have not.
I haven't used a dice gripper. The thing that I mainly do is the 2 finger, it's the thumb and the middle finger. And if I can get those 2, my fingers are so different on lengths. It's hard for me to use the books or the gripper to get them even on the tip. So I just have to do the 2 fingers, the thumb and the middle finger. And once I get that centered up, I just place my 2 fingers. And that's the way I started out practicing. And it's just, it seems like that it's worked pretty good because I can get a pretty consistent pickup with the backs of the fingers being even on the dice just by doing it that way. And like I said, I've only been doing this just this year. I think I started this in March, or it could have been February. And that was the first way I learned, and I haven't never deviated from that. And it seems to have did okay for my grip.
Awesome. Arnel, how about you? How did you start learning your grip?
Well, I did start out with the 3-finger grip, but and use that actually for a long time. Now I mainly just do what Chili's using, just a 2-finger, which is a pincher grip. That's actually the grip I like. I will go back to the 3-finger, during practice and things like that. But when I go to the casinos, I'm usually using the 2-finger pincher grip.
Yep. We're going to see a good example of your grip here in just a few minutes. Really quick, I want to go back out to the audience. I see Skill and Luck. He's out there watching us tonight. He said he got hooked on craps after viewing John Patrick's VHS tapes back in the 1980s. And I've seen clips of those. I wish I could actually have seen the whole thing. But John, Skill and Luck, I know exactly what you're talking about. Those are fun tapes. And I can't remember some of the terms he uses. He uses them in his books too. I don't know if you can see my bookshelf behind me, but I've got a green and a red book. Both of those are by John Patrick, and considered some of the best material out there. Let's see here. Slam Bright's out there saying, looks like a great way to train muscle memory. Yep, very much so. Dice Tosser for Life out watching us tonight. It says hello to Jillian and everybody. And Andrew Dobby, he's out there also watching us tonight.
Good evening.
We've even got Mel Lumho, celebrity in our mix. Good evening, Mel. Happy to have you here on the show. All right, so let's move to the next topic. So we've talked about a couple of different tools that we have. We've got the dice barrel that we can use. We've got a dice gripper that we can use. And I don't have it with me because I broke it. But you've seen these orange poles. Most of them are meant for like a marking a space. I'm not doing a very good job of explaining this, but it's a very thin, flexible orange pole, maybe about 3 feet tall or so. I'll have to find a picture and see if I can post it somewhere. But what I did is I would take that pole or a broomstick or something long that you can expand across the end of your table, and you can adjust the height. And as you're tossing the dice, you want to make sure that the dice are going just over the pole. And I'll see if I can find a picture and post it later. But that's another excellent tool to help you make sure that you're getting the height right. All right, so let's move on and talk a little bit about some of the things that you can do to practice to get better. And one of the things beyond the grip and the toss is the landing zone. Now, landing zones vary by table. You might have a bouncy table, you might have a very hard table, or something in between, and you have to identify the right spot. And I think that's one of the problems, I think, with our home tables, that we get very comfortable with our home tables, and it's hard to adjust, especially when you go to a place like Vegas where you might be going from casino to casino or table to table and having to deal with different table conditions. But at home, if you purposely practice trying to hit different landing zones, don't worry about the results as much as you are trying to make sure that you hit that same spot consistently time after time after time. Then you will be able to adjust when you're playing in live conditions. So let's take it back over to the guys and let's talk about landing zones for just a minute. So Chili, what about you? What are your thoughts on the landing zone?
Yeah, the landing zone. So for me, you just have to be careful a little bit when you get real comfortable, as you just mentioned, on your home table, because one thing that I fail to do is put chips down on the other end. And when you get on the live tables with in the casinos, there's going to be players at the other end. Generally, especially after this COVID, there's going to be someone that's going to have their chips in your way. So what I try to do on the landing zone when I'm practicing, I try to stay parallel. I try to have my swing parallel to the back wall. And then that way, when it hits the end wall, I'm staying the same distance from the back wall in a parallel manner, if that's making sense. I try not to go at an angle on the throw, but like I said, if you get real comfortable at your home table and you're not allowing for the chips to be in play, a lot of times what I have seen is the chips will be in play at the casino. So then you start having to make adjustments. And what that might cause is, if you're swinging at an angle, say more towards the center of the back of the table, then your left die is probably going to have a little bit more rotation than your right. So them are just things that you kind of have to adjust when you're playing. Or if you're fortunate enough to find a table that the guys are recognizing what you're trying to do, and they'll keep their chips out of your landing zone. For me, usually right at the hook after the back wall straightens back out and about probably 3 inches from the back wall. That's generally about where I try to go on the landing zone. And like I said, sometimes the chips could be in your way if somebody's playing the odds. So that's just little adjustments that you have to make So if I do run into that, what I might do is try to lean just a little further over the table and then extend my my pickup spot and my swing spot a little bit further out past the pass line. That way it gives me a little bit more room, to adjust and stay in the parallel manner towards the back wall.
Okay. Yeah. So you have a consistent spot that you go to most of the time. And yeah, if I remember right, you have a pendulum swing. Yep.
That's
Yep.
correct.
Okay. So straight
Yeah,
down
pendulum
the.
swing, and I generally like to I generally like to get into the SL1 position.
Yep.
That's
Yep. Okay.
where I've practiced the most from is SL1 with the pendulum swing.
Okay. So Arnel, how about you? Landing
Oh,
zones.
actually, I'll do the same where I'm adjusting if the chips are in the way. So normally mine's more of like an inline shot. So it's actually like perpendicular to the back wall. Uh, so it's like unconventional. It's not like a parallel to the back wall that most people you see do. Um, Mainly, I switched to that kind of throw. So mine's more of kind of like an off axis, and is because when I used to analyze the table, you really only have about a foot and a half that's actually straight, that's on the back wall there, and then it starts to curve. Um, so most people I see that are throwing, parallel to that back wall, they're actually already, hitting that mixing bowl area there because it's already starting to curve. So even if you're throwing, you may think you're throwing parallel, that diamond's already starting to curve. So for me, I stopped, uh, analyzing that, and mainly I'll use, the whole area. It just depends. Sometimes I'll throw it, uh, you know, at the middle, the center part. Sometimes I'll throw it in the mixing bowl. It just varies. It depends on, what numbers are rolling. You just try to change it up.
I think you brought up
Normally,
a really good point that not all casinos are the same. They some of them might have a foot and a half. Some of them might have 2 feet or so of flat before the curve
right,
begins. And if you're a par shooter with a 3 finger grip and you're trying to go straight down that table, well, straight down that table might actually be curved. So you have to adjust just a little bit, another inch, maybe 2 inches over, and every inch that you go towards the middle, your par shot will be off a little bit. Not necessarily a bad thing. If your grip if your grip has some, some inconsistencies to it, that might actually work out pretty well. And we see it in live fantasy craps that, I don't know, there's maybe 10, 15 of us that are regulars that we play. We don't all go to the same place every time. The Mark, I'm trying to think of his last name, Mark K. He has had some phenomenal rolls throwing into the opposite hook, so into the mixing bowl, as they say, and he does
yeah,
phenomenally well with that.
yeah.
Yeah,
He's throwing a off-axis shot.
yeah, and he sets for knowing that he's going to go off axis, so he has that
Yeah,
knowledge of what sets should he use for that type of a toss. All right,
yeah.
we're going to
That's why.
take a quick. Yep, let's come back over to the audience, and got a couple of things out there. Super Mario is out there. It says wishing Mel good luck in Vegas. Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, Mel is actually going to join us in Colorado, but he's stopping in Vegas for a day or so. So he'll be warming up and ready to shoot by the time he gets to Colorado. Let's see here. Who else have we got? Fives. He's loving the Monday night stream. Hey, thanks, Fives. Appreciate it. Mark Kilgore. Yeah, thank you, Slam. Right. I know that's why I like having you in the audience. It's like you're the right hand. All right. All right, so let's move on. Oh, I wanted to actually show another tool. So when we're talking about landing zones, um, up here in the upper left-hand corner, you see it's a cookie jar, or it looks like a cookie jar. It really is. You know those candies? They call them fireballs, the little red cinnamon candies. Well, it was like an $8 jar full of those fireballs, and it's perfect. The opening is about 4 inches square, and um, at a 45-degree angle, which is good for many tables. So just a little bitty $8 jar that I use to put my canceled dice in is also an excellent tool for precision practice on the landing zone. In fact, there's a new guy on the YouTube scene, and I'm trying to remember his name.
Hawaiian
We've got Mel
crapshooter.
Hawaiian Crapshooter. Thank you very much. And he just issued a challenge not too long ago, saying, "Okay, all of us YouTubers, let's see how good we really are." And I emailed him back and I said, "Well, I don't want to embarrass myself because I know I'd probably only get maybe 2 out of 5 in there, but it." I don't want to diminish the tool. The tool is an awesome tool. It will help you. And in fact, if I'm flip back over here in the corner of the screen, you see another book up there in the upper left-hand corner, The Mad Professor's Crap Shooter's Bible. And what I like about that is one of the things, it's an outstanding book. This is by far my favorite book on managing dice or dice influence or dice control. But it talks about landing zones in the book. And the author, he says to start maybe a foot away from your landing zone and just gently toss the dice over and over and over until you've got it nailed. Then you move another 6 inches or maybe another foot away. Now you're 2 feet away. Keep going, keep going, keep going. And then you just keep moving back further and further and further. And by the time you get to stick left 1 or stick left 2, and you're just nailing that landing zone over and over, well, that's practice. And that's effective practice. That's something that you can translate to any table out there. So I highly recommend using that kind of an exercise in your practice routine.
Yeah, it's a
All right.
progression.
Yep. And I think the last tool, before I go to my last tool, what about you guys? Anything out there that you guys use for practice?
Oh
I
yeah, you
actually
can
hit
use a
one of those
bow
cookie
or
jars.
a bow. Sorry, go ahead on that.
Oh, I just wanted to
Oh,
mention I have one of those cookie jars, but mine's actually glass. So every time, whether it hits anywhere on that, you're nicking up your dice. So don't recommend the glass ones if you're gonna practice with that. You're gonna ruin a lot of dice. But the good thing is the glass one doesn't move.
Oops.
Where the
Yeah.
plastic one might move around. When
Yeah,
it
you're
hits.
right. So I don't know if you can see it there, but I have a towel that I placed inside of mine to help keep some of the nicks from nicking up all the dice.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
you're right about
something that's
moving.
good also is a sponge, like a household, like a kitchen sponge. It's like a 3 inch, maybe by 5 inch. It's about the size maybe of an index card, or maybe just a little smaller than an index card, rectangle shaped sponge. And you can set that where you want to throw, and just shoot at that sponge. Because one thing, now that bow that you just showed, it has the opening that is in a good angle for the dice to start landing. They don't have to worry about the sides. But if you're using sometimes just like a plastic bowl or a box, those edges could be sticking up higher in the front and cause your dice, maybe not to land like you want them to. But a sponge is kind of flat to the table, and it's got about, like I said, it's probably 3 inches by 5 inches right there. So that gives a pretty good spot. That gives about the size of a don't come. Well, no, not even the size of a don't come bar, but it gives, like I said, that gives a pretty good target practice for a sponge or an index card itself.
Yeah, that's an
And
excellent idea. I didn't think about a sponge.
Yeah, the sponge will soak up will absorb some of the hits. It'll protect your dice a little more. And of course, like I said, the walls, the opening of the box, because I do have a cardboard box that's about that size, and put a piece of felt in and thrown like that before. But then the cardboard sides, the sides of the box were disrupting the trajectory of the landing.
Yeah, definitely. I see a comment out there from Jeff G. He said he saw a video a long time ago of Koga Ninja practicing with the cookie jar. I just wanted to show another picture. Let me change the background of this one for a second.
Okay.
So when my very first efforts in improving, this is what I started out with. It was a $10 felt from Amazon and a cardboard box down at the end. You know, I'm not going to go as far as recommending a Koga Ninja's course, but I will say this: that the cardboard box and the felt was an outstanding start. It got me familiar. It helped me realize that, yeah, I am into this. It is something that I want to spend more money on. So it was a great first step to really learning more about throwing the dice. All right, so let's see here. I'm going to take a quick look over here in the audience and see if there's some other suggestions. We got G-Dub saying put a towel, keep things from bouncing out of there. Mr. Money Shot. Googs50 was talking about the Hawaii crap shooter, Mr. Money Shot. Yeah, he's the one that put the challenge out there.
Yep.
Craps for Life saying is great for practice. Yeah, thank you. Let's see here. G-Dub, he puts an inch of pennies in there to keep scooting. Okay, so you weight it down with a bunch of pennies. I see. Very nice.
Right.
We got fives out there with a little bit of prayer. Once the dice leaves my hand, they're in God's hands. Very, very true, my friend. Very true. All right, wager me this.
Piece of paper. I'd use a regular sheet of paper on the landing zone.
Yeah.
And then the dice would actually, nick it. So you'd see where, you can mark off kind of like where it's hitting.
Yeah. Yeah. I had taken a class from, I hesitate to say who, but one of the things that he did is just a little bitty, it's about, maybe a centimeter, just a very small square. And he would tape it to the landing zone. And I asked him why so small, and he says he wants to be that precise. And my eyes aren't good enough. I tell you, I couldn't tell if I was hitting that little piece of paper or not. But that was his recommendation, is a little bitty piece of paper taped down to the very end. All right, so the last thing that I kind of want to talk about is cameras. Now, everybody out there has a phone, and the phone can capture some incredible footage. And we've got some footage of Arnel doing some tosses in slow motion, and I'm just going to show about a minute of that video. And there's a couple of things that I want you to look for as we're going through here. In fact, I'm just going to start it off, and we'll talk about it as we're going. All right, so what I want to see here is some consistency. And you can see the dice, they're coming up and just hitting the very top of my screen before they come down. And it looks like we're hitting along the field. And that's what we want to see. We want to see consistency there. And Arnel, we should be able to hear you as well if you have any comments on this. And we can see as he goes through here, the dice are starting to rotate together very well and stay together very well. And he's probably hitting that landing zone within a few inches of each other.
Yeah, that last video, I was actually practicing. So you're showing a video where I'm using a 3-finger grip.
Yeah.
Yeah. And normally I'll use that if I'm stick left, because I'm right-handed. And that's mainly like kind of like a lot of videos or a lot of people teach.
Sorry, Arnel. Watch this really quick. Watch this instant replay in super slow motion. I want you to take a look at his 3 fingers. They do not come apart after he releases the dice. A lot of us will open our hands, but you kept them together, and look how tight those dice are. Even as they start to come down, they're still really close. They're rotating the same. That was a beautiful shot.
Right.
Whoops.
I like doing those drills because those drills, when I'm doing it like that, that video is 25 minutes long, but I'm actually shooting in it's probably less than a minute of me throwing all those dice.
Yeah. When you go in the super slow-mo, it slows it down by quite a bit. So Super Mario out there, he's saying they're not going straight, and yeah, and you know that you had a precise landing zone in mind for that particular shot, and you were nailing it.
Yeah, so most of those, when I'm shooting like that, it's mainly to just I don't care what's rolling. I'm just trying to do more of kind of like muscle memory.
Yep, exactly. All right. So, I'm going to actually start that video one more time. And this time, instead of watching his dice, take a look at his table. We talked about this as we started the video. All right. So
I actually started out with a small like practice rig that was maybe like 2 feet by 4 feet.
Yeah.
And then graduated to a 10-foot table that I purchased from somebody out in Missouri. It was actually a table. It must have been around because he said he got it from somebody out in Wisconsin. So luckily, I was able to sell it to somebody that was interested, and this 10-foot table's going around.
Very nice. Real quick, we got Wager Me This. Best way to practice is go to the casino and take your lumps. There is definitely some truth to that. No matter what we do at home, we're not going to mimic the real world conditions. We're not going to mimic the cocktail waitress or the drunk guy next to you. Well, maybe sometimes you might, but for the most part, your home conditions are going to be ideal. They're not going to be like they are at the casino. And you do need to take all of your practice and you need to put it to the test. And when you go to the casino and you're let's say you're not one of those weekend warriors, you only go every so often, you get more time on your practice table than you do in the real casino. You better take it light, better take it easy, because like I said, those table conditions at the casino might not reflect your home table exactly. And you could be picking up some habits that you need to adjust on the fly. All right.
That's definitely true.
Yeah. So, the last thing that I kind of wanted to talk about is the dice. Yeah, we talk about some of the different tools, the dice grippers, the dice barrels, and things like that. There's canceled dice that you can get from the casino. There's cheap dice that you can buy off of Amazon. And then there's casino quality dice. And on my table down there in the lower here, I'll just pull it up. On my table, you can see the gold foil package over there. Now, these come from Midwest Gaming Supply, and you can buy them from several different sources. Our own Sleepy 2525, he will often put in an order for the Craps Nation, and he'll pre-order some casino dice. Or you can go to a couple of others. Howard Rock and Roller Newman, or Heavy Steve Haltom. They also sell dice from Midwest Gaming Supply. Now, there is a difference, and I was skeptical in the beginning, but after buying a fresh stick of dice and feeling that razor sharp edge, it makes a tremendous difference. The dice seem to stick together better when they're new than they do when they're old. When they bounce together a little bit more than when they're banged up. Just little bitty things can make a difference. Now, it also depends on what you're trying to practice. If you're just working on your grip and maybe the swing or launching from the deck, it doesn't matter. But if you're looking to try to get consistent results, I do recommend spending the extra money and getting the casino quality dice. So what about you guys? Where do you get your dice?
I've definitely tried them all. eBay, Amazon, Midwest Gaming, uh, but it is definitely. I'd probably say Midwest Gaming has the best dice to match exactly what the casino's got.
And Chili, how about you?
Yeah, I'm in the same boat with Arnel. I've tried several different eBay, Amazon, both, and I used those for a long time because the first felt, which is here in my background, it come with a set of dice from Bally's, and I used those dice till I've nearly about rounded them off before I ever got any other casinos quality dice. Because after at the very initial point, I went ahead and got some eBay dice and some Amazon dice, and you can just tell the difference in the quality of those dice as compared to when, as you mentioned, Sleepy 2525 had put the order in, and when those arrived, I started using the Craps Nation. And that is another point to be made as you made about if you get comfortable on the table at home, take it light when you go to a casino because there are a lot of different conditions, and that includes the dice. If you're not changing your dice out regularly and using good, sharp casino quality dice at home, you're not going to get the same type of results when you jump on that live table because the casinos are changing those dice out regularly. And those dice are so sharp and pointed on the edges. Even if you are getting good lands, they are still going to take and do some random things if you're using dull dice practicing with at home, and then you get a set of sharp, razor sharp cornered dice. Those are going to do a lot of random things that you're not used to. So again, I just have to say again, as you stated already, just take it easy when you do go into the live casinos because things can change real quick from what you're used to at home.
Yep, words of wisdom. All right, guys, I really don't have anything other than my parting thoughts here. Chili, I would like to turn it over to you for just a minute. You and I have been working together on building a Craps Nation social media account. And, we have a Twitter and we have a Instagram that you are now the owner and the administrator for. What can we expect? What do you want to see out of the social media accounts?
Yeah, I would like to see, and I'm brand new getting it going, so it's kind of low content there right now. But yeah, going forward, I want to get all of our Craps Nation members involved, and I want to be able to get some, the good times, the good photos that people's having and things. I want to get that posted up. So anytime that you are able, if you have an Instagram account or a Twitter account, go ahead and start using those hashtags and all to go ahead and tag yourself and tag the Craps Nation into the account so that we can follow and I can follow you and you can follow back to the Craps Nation, and we can just expand and grow that Craps Nation logo and grow that brand all across because we have several platforms that Crap Nation is a part of now, and we just want to be able to expand that and get the word out, and that let everybody know that Craps Nations is not a membership based it's not an expense that you have to pay a monthly fee. It's free. It's costing you nothing. So it costs nothing for Twitter, it costs nothing for Instagram, and of course we have the Skype group. So I'm just encourage everybody to come over to those if you're not already a member of those and join. It's no membership fees. It's just for the people who love the game, who's looking for more than just the chicken feeder, as they're called, the chicken feeder. the Craps Nations, we're looking for more than the chicken feeder, but we're always looking for other members. We are definitely looking to get better there. And I would just, like I said, I'd like to see those two different platforms grow and gain a lot more followers. And yeah, that's probably it on that.
Yeah. So I love the idea of the social media and bringing all of us together. Like you said, there's no charge, there's no fee. We loosely call ourselves members of the Craps Nation. Our tagline is "We are all Craps Nation." If you like the game, if you play the game, you're a member of the Craps Nation. So join us on Instagram, join us on Twitter, help show off your winnings, and we'll help you lick your wounds on some of the losses. All right, I'm gonna quickly go back over to the comments. We've got Jeremy from Color Up out there talking about some of the dice, and he definitely knows what he's doing with the dice. The casinos themselves buy from Midwest Gaming. It's the only domestic supplier in the United States. Let's see here. I lost the comment. The only other supplier for dice is Gaming Partners International, and what I was talking about with Sleepy and Heavy and Howard, they all buy their dice from Midwest Gaming Supply. I believe Bone Thrower has also started buying some dice. I haven't seen many of his videos lately, but I did hear that he's also selling dice, I think, branded for his channel, of course, but they also come from Midwest. So if you're looking for good quality dice, there are ways to get them. And reach out to any one of us here in the Craps Nation. We can help you get connected with somebody that's selling the dice. Let's see here. Just take a quick look over there at the other comments. Lynn Berg says, "Hey, David, where are you throwing most of the time now? Kansas Star?" No, I actually live very close to the Kansas Star, but I have not thrown dice there for, I don't know, since January or February. The tables there are too bouncy for me. I prefer to go all the way down to Oklahoma, and it's another hour drive for me, but the table conditions are better. Lynn, you know me from Tonkawa, and I miss our old table and our old crew, but they've got that new electronics table, and it's been broken the last 2 times I've went. So I actually play at the First Council Casino over in Newkirk. 14-foot table. It's pretty firm. It's got a little bounce to it, but not as bad as Kansas Star. And I'm starting to actually learn that table. I'm a small time better on that one because it took me a long time to get dialed in, but I'm getting a little bit more comfortable with each visit. All right, let's turn it back over. Arnel, you have any parting thoughts or parting advice on how to practice?
Ooh, parting thoughts, huh? Well, if you get a chance to play at the casinos, usually try to, go with people, because trying to go nowadays and betting on people you don't know, it's tough. Especially some of the casinos by me, they actually want constant action. So they want you betting on each person. And if you're a low roller, that's going to eat away your bankroll real quick. So that would be probably my thought or suggestion is, try to go with people you know, or at least bet on the people you know.
That's exactly what I plan on doing this weekend when we all meet up in Black Hawk, Colorado. So we have an open house. We're going to be at the Lodge in Black Hawk from 2 to 4 p.m. There's going to be several people there that you might know. We've got Bird Dog 301, Sleepy 2525, Mel Lum Ho, myself, Ting from Sungyung Guy's Names. Ting, he's going to be there. Jeremy from Color Up, he will be there. And we're going to have a lot of people. We may not all be able to get on the table, so I want to set those expectations right now. But at the very least, we're going to have some great conversation and great company. All right, guys, I think that's going to do it for this particular show. Again, no show next week because I will be in Colorado, and we'll see you guys again in 2 weeks. Shout out to my friends Arnel and Chili. Thank you very much for showing up here tonight and helping us learn how to practice.
Hey, no problem.
Glad to be here. Thanks.